Good evening and welcome, dear friends, fans, well-wishers, to Bindu, Click, Join, Learn by the Temple of Fine Arts. Bindu, the point at which creation begins and the arts converge. A burst of inspiration, power and energy, all at the convenience of your fingertips. We bring to you a palette of arts activities and lessons that will enrich your mind through the virtual medium, and is the latest endeavor of the Temple of Fine Arts in keeping with the times and new realities in which the world finds itself today. We are all gathered here virtually to witness a momentous conversation to be held between three luminaries in the field of the performing arts who need no introduction. Shankar Kandasamy, Mavin, Khoo, and Umesh Shetty are well-known names in all dance-loving households. And today we will witness the three of them engage in a conversation and share with us their thoughts, their ideas, their insights, and what makes them tick. The passion, the pursuit, the pleasure, all beyond body. For those of you who would like to put forth questions to any of our panelists, please do so in the Q&A tab that you see at the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to have it answered at the end. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Shankar Kandasamy, who will be moderating this conversation between Mavin and Umesh Shetty, to take center stage and begin this session. We hope you have an enjoyable time.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaskaram to everybody, and it's such a bliss to do this because number one, I'm a great admirer of these two amazing dancers, Mavin and Umesh, and I have known them from a very little age when they were very little children. I'm the older one, so I have known them, and I have seen, in one word, a passion that defies time and a passion that still burns so bright. So my conversations with them would somewhat lead from a timeline, life cycle, from the time I knew them as children, where the fire was ablaze, and to know their thoughts and their journey from what I've seen from that time. So I'll start off just a series of very short questions to both of you, 7 questions exactly. So, and with that, we would trigger off into the beyond the body after that, of course. So it's from the body in the youth. So I'm trying to find a timeline, kind of a cycle where it's very body when you're in the youth, and then as you mature, it's in the mind, and then as you mature even further, it goes into the spirit. So it's a kind of a spiritual journey from the physical to the spiritual, and that's kind of a trajectory which I've tried to use in this beautiful conversation. That my only hope is to inspire those who would watch this, and may that fire, the sparks of that fire of these two lives, ignite processes of creation, creativity, dance, music, passion, in whatever sort of art. So that's the pure intention. So I'll start off with some questions to Mavin, and then to Umesh, and like this, we'll go on like this. And as candid and as lucid as you can be. So Mavin, I knew you from the time you were a little boy, like 7, 8 maybe. And all I remember was you in the Temple of Fine Arts at that time, just so passionate about dancing, just from one class to another class, left alone, the whole day you would dance from morning till evening, just lapping up as much as you could. You just devoured the dance through your eyes and translated that through your body. And it was like on fire. And, it was just amazing to see how you absorb that dance, you know, and I used to think that this has come from a previous life, definitely, and to see that ablaze till today. So can you tell us a little bit about those years, the first impressionistic years of the first impressions of dance that hit you?
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. First of all, I have to say that for me, it's always wonderful to engage with the two of you and to engage with anything that Fine Arts is doing, because that's really where my history with dance began. And with Shankar, you know, I'm throwing it back at you a bit, because I remember even as a small boy, before even going to Fine Arts, my mom, who was your school teacher, talking about this boy in her class who was mad about dance. So so that memory for me already was, I remember so clearly. And Umesh, of course, we've shared so many histories. I remember reminding Umesh a few years ago that he was the first person who taught me how to tie a dance veshti for class, you know. And I think history is something that as we get older, right, we get much more connected to, in terms of coming back to those memories, because somehow those memories suddenly make sense to an anchoring of where we are today. But one of the things I want to say is, you know, people often ask, I'm sure each of us, you know, why do you dance, or what made you start dancing? And I always say, I don't know what made me start dancing. But for me, I remember the strongest instinct sensation that I had was, I can still remember my first class, which was on a Tuesday at 6 p.m. in the basement of Temple of Fine Arts. I can remember the color of the sari Vatslaka was wearing, which was a green sari. And of course,
Wow.
Vatslaka in those days, you know, the plaid with flowers and everything. And I remember so clearly the instinct of knowing that this was what I wanted to do every day for the rest of my life. I remember that instinct. And I think that instinct has driven me through my career, actually, in terms of trusting instinct. But also, I think there was something very important, and I always feel that it's predestined, about being in the right place with the right people around you at the right time. And I think as a child, Fine Arts was the perfect place for me, because of the nature of creativity that was there, because of the relationship of spirituality and dance that allowed for a guidance and a nurturing for the potential for a kid who possibly had something in him that was different, you know. Of course, Swamiji was very present in those days as well, right? And of course, I was very fortunate that I had all those teachers, from Vatslaka to Vasuki teacher to Radha teacher, all of who allowed me to jump from class to class and you know, and absorb and devour everything I wanted. And I think what's very beautiful is, as well, I talk about this very much, is that one finds the beauty in cyclic connections. For me, the fact that today, wherever I dance, whenever I come back to KL, the necessity to go back to Fine Arts, to go and train with Vasuki again, that kind of cyclic surrendering, if you like, I think that is very, very important.
Amazing, amazing. You know, when I see you, I still see that little boy running, because I remember asking you once. You know, you were dancing in a bus stop. I can't remember the. I said, Mavin, you dance in the bus stop. I said, yeah, it doesn't matter. I just love to dance. I'm dancing in the bus stop. It's okay. So that was really cool. I said, it doesn't matter what people think of me. I love dancing. So. And Umesh, you know, I have seen Umesh from the time he was a kid. And in Malay, we say anak pentas, you know, a child of the stage. I think in ballet, they say beneath the ballet bar, born beneath the ballet bar, or toddling. And Umesh just grew up watching his father and mother and late rehearsals, and the fire in his sister, Suki, who's just amazing. And it was just like, you don't teach a baby fish to swim. It's just fish to water. And you know, those initial years when Temple of Fine Arts was forming, and those first few dance ballets that we did, like Masuri, and I could see the fire in Umesh when he got up to dance, and when Uncle Gopal would see him, and upon him choreograph certain movements, because that body was the body that was ready to just absorb anything that it was thrown at. So it was fire as well. And can you tell us something about those impressionistic years where it was Swamiji, a big figure, and then your father was a very large icon of Malaysia, to the spirit, the body, the mind, all three coalescing. And here was this young boy who was just waiting to absorb everything and more. So can you tell us about that? Can you tell us about those first impressions that you remember?
Wow. Shankar, it's so much. Yeah. Yeah, I think from the very day one, nothing was in my control. Nothing was in my control. Yeah. Being born in a family of under Gopal Shetty, actually, it's not in my control. Meeting Swamiji was not in my control. Everything was just, when you say beyond mind or beyond body, it was moving 5 steps ahead before me. Yeah. So being in the space, I remember going into fine arts. Watching my father dance from small, from young, embodying all those things, but not knowing whether I'm going to be a dancer, nothing. It's just watching them dance, watching my mother dance. And then one day there was I don't know whether Shankar, you were there, and we had this space. Someone gave us a key to move into the space. And moving into the space, we had to go do a gotong royong. This was the Temple of Fine Arts. Walk into that space, not knowing whether I was going to dance in this space. I haven't learned dancing yet. Suki was the one who was dancing at home from young. Yeah, my father always looked at Suki and said, "You are the dancer." We were all this, by the way, Suki was the dancer. Yeah, so we never knew that we were going to learn dancing. We just went in and did this gotong royong. It was all the whole temple. Let's visualize the whole Temple of Fine Arts was just banana trees all over the place. I remember Vaslaka was there, Uncle Master Shivraj was there. Just walked in, opened the gate, walked in and started chopping off trees. Not doing, we just were just doing things. Yeah, clearly not knowing where we were going, what was this space all about, nothing. Yeah, I'm going to learn dancing, I'm going to take dance as my career, nothing. Just went into the space and just enjoyed. Actually, from that day, that very first day, going in there and just clearing up the space was a joy, was a total joy. And again, because Swamiji was there in our lives, we it's always, yes, we had this guru with us. So from there, so Temple of Fine Arts started. And then we were all asked actually to join classes. So yes, definitely I did Bharatanatyam, whatever there was. But there was something always inside. Yeah, when I move and I dance, there was something always was moving further than what I was trying to think, what I was trying to say. I felt I could express faster in dance than what my speech. And yeah, so with Swamiji being in our space, it was always pushing us, not even telling us, okay, there was a production, there's a no show, there's something else. So we went to that space. It was a surrender all the time. When I move into a space, when I dance, it was a surrender. I was not in control. I was never in control. And that practice was from the day one. It was not my choice. Yeah. But the choice was guided. I think was very guided, very compassionately, was guided in the very nice way. But it was not my choice, and I loved it. Unknowingly, I loved it. Unknowingly, from the day I walked in to cut the what you call banana trees. It was beautiful. To then learning dance, it was just beautiful. And nothing, I was not planning that I want to become a good dancer. I was not planning that I want to become a good Bharatanatyam dancer. I was not planning that, that my technique has to be in a certain way. We were just there at that moment. And I think that was the most important thing in my life today, that being in that moment and not worrying about what is the outcome is. What is the outcome? Who is going to say what and who is going to tell you what? I think that is my greatest learning from this institution, from Swamiji, from my father, from everything. That's my, yeah. And that's who I am today, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. I remember that time also. I was also there,
Yeah.
cutting the trees and doing things. We were all there. You know, Mavin, your Arangetam was one bomb. I mean, it's something that has left an indelible mark in my mind even today. I remember the Swaminananda Nadime with its double jatis. I remember the Haimavati Jatiswaram. I remember your Priya Charushile dance seated at Hindolam Tilana. I think so. And I believe that that very night you went home and you danced the whole Margam again. You pushed the furniture aside and did that. You know, that is something beyond the body. If we were to talk about beyond body, I think, you know, how that, what is that that triggers you to move like that? It's no more a conscious effort or a conscious conscious motivation to do that. It just happens, as what Umesh just said. You just surrendered, and it's just taking over. So can you tell us that? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that my Arangetram was something, I have to say, I guess everyone approaches the Arangetram in that way. So I don't want to say that it's unique to me, but I can share my experience. I still remember so clearly the little prayer that Lakshman sir was giving at the beginning. And I really genuinely felt like this very important weight of responsibility was placed on my shoulders. And I very, very gladly was going to take it on. But I really felt, if we talk about a marriage, I remember feeling so clearly like I was getting married to the dance that day. And of course, I think people don't realize by that point of my Arangetram how much time I had started spending with Lakshman sir already. So there was a kind of collaborator with me who was consistently pushing, you know, actually in my Arangetram, I was supposed to do a Mishra Laripu. And the day before my Arangetram, he decided to change it into a Trishya Jati Druvatalam. He was someone who understood that I was someone who could take on the idea of adrenaline and risk. And because he was a very performative Natwanar himself, he enjoyed and thrived in those challenges that were constant. You know, I mean, he would change like he would on the day of, in a program, sometimes in Chennai, in Krishna Gana Sabha or something like this, he would ask someone to go in between and tell me on the other side, tell Mavin to do this Tilana instead of that Tilana. You know, he would tell me the day of on the day of a program, what my Margam was going to be.
Wow.
And he thrived in that because he knew I could take it as well, you know. So there was, for me, someone who was coercing me into finding this element of risk and almost danger sometimes in performance, to enjoy it and to absolutely feel confident to be mad with the dance. This element of allowing someone to be mad with a dance is something that progressively, as an infrastructure in terms of dance education has happened, as an infrastructure of professional dance has happened. Somehow it's I don't know, in the West, it's almost problematic, you know, for a young dancer to say, I want to be mad with dance, because it's so much about now a balance of mental health, you know, emotional and mental well-being and stuff like that. So then the word madness is already seen as a very taboo word, you know. But I think all three of us were given a space to be mad for dance, to be obsessed with dance. And in that, I think what happens is that, as Umesh said, none of us, even I, never had an idea of what my career was going to be. You know, I just wanted to dance.
I think it's just like fish to water. It's just like The
Yeah.
most natural thing that could happen.
Yeah, exactly. And we had no notions of whether in 10 years we were going to do this or this or that. We just wanted to dance, right? But we were given the space to do that, and I think that element allowed for us to completely immerse ourselves with madness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I remember when Umesh, there was a Tamil conference here in Malaysia long ago, and Umesh and Vinita had danced a Tillana, a Hindolam Tillana. You know, the stage was on fire. And I was like, how is this possible? How can this boy be so amazingly perfect, you know? And then when Uncle Gopal passed away, Umesh, Suki, and Ravi, they danced a Shraddhanjali, you know, for their father.
I was there, I
And
remember.
oh my God, it was like Entero Mahanubavalu.
Yes.
And I think Umesh did a piece on Subramanya. You know, Umesh, those are indelible impressions that never fade off your brain. Because when you see somebody dancing with that sort of a passion and that sort of an energy, that, you know, the footwork alone was like patas, like firecrackers. You know? So how was that madness at that? What was that madness at that stage of your life? What was that madness about? Or can you put it in words? Can you put it in words in the first place?
I don't know. Something when I dance always happens that I taste, and it's so nice. It's so, it's like wow. And I always wonder, even it's just a small moment, I always look and search for that moment. And I wish I can extend it for a longer period and a longer period and a longer period. But it's not consistent. Yeah. I don't know. But we always want, once you taste something, you always try. And I think my whole life was about trying to touch that point. Yeah. Always. From not knowing dance and I don't know. That's why I said from the day one we were just surrendered. But then suddenly you surrender, you go into space, suddenly you taste something, you're like, wow, it's nice. It's so beautiful. Can I taste this again? Can I go back and taste this again? But I think that I thank God to give me that confidence to go and search for that point of wanting to be in that moment. And because of that search of wanting, pushes you to practice, to all the sadhana, Shankar, morning practice, come and do all these things because of that taste. Nothing else. It's not about making sure you get a good tirmanam. It's not nothing. It's just that moment of, I want to be in that space. I remember, Shankar, we did Bhavayami. And, there was two groups. I don't know whether you knew Bhavayami. There was two groups.
Yes.
Group B.
Yeah.
And then, for me, that time, again, I think being in fine arts, it's a totality of spirituality, life, human being, who are you, clubbing, everything. For me, everything is just there. And Swamiji about drama and about this epic, and it for me is I have to be in that moment. I have to be in the moment. And I remember one of the show, there was this guy going on taking this picture, going on clicking. I don't know, you were Lakshmana at that moment. And I just couldn't focus, and I just wanted to feel this moment. I said, oh God, why this guy is distracting me and it's going on so much that I forgot. I broke the bow.
Yes, I remember.
I forgot. I don't know whether you remember. And I didn't go to take, Sita was waiting for me to put the garland, and you're looking at me and I was like, I need to focus that I forgot what I need to do. And then next thing I looked at you and I saw you going to take that bow. Luckily, I just moved in and said, okay, I'm here back. Yeah. So it was always about trying to be in that moment. It always, in now also actually, now me being who I am, it's about the moment. And I think that has pushed me and gave me who I am today, to who I am and what I want to do. It doesn't need to be dance. It doesn't need to be anything, but it's that surrender, that taste. And once you taste something, it's not in your control. You have to just wait for that moment. You have to wait for that moment to happen. You have to prepare. You have to prepare it. So the preparation, yeah, Shankar, the technique, that other the class, and getting up in the morning. Remember, 6 o'clock every morning we go do yoga class, and we try to do all those things, but then go back again to that space and find and see whether, hey, is it helping us to go further in, further deeper in, to see, to taste more? And if it's yes, oh, let's do it more. That's the passion. The passion was not about the technique. The passion is to be in that space, to taste that moment. And I think with that, I think has really, as I said, I didn't choose this space, but it was just
chosen.
Yeah, it was chosen. And yeah, so it's being in that moment lah. Yeah.
Amazing. The guru is a very pivotal, the crux of it all.
Sorry, I would just want to one more Shankar, one more say. Remember we did Sogu Suga?
Yeah.
Swamiji came and watched this performance, and Swamiji said, I want all boys to do this Sogu Suga. Okay. I really must share this. And then Swamiji came in, he just watched it and he said, okay, y'all are not ready. But we stayed overnight. Remember, all of us.
Yes, the whole night.
Choreographed the whole thing. Next morning, sharp 9 o'clock, when Swamiji walked into the Temple of Fine Arts, we were ready, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole piece was done. And that is what? It's not because work, it's not because time, it's just because you want to be there. You want to be in that space. Yeah, you will do anything to be in that space. And I think that's very, very important as a dancer, and yeah, where we are today, for all the rest to think about, you're not doing it for anything else, but because you want to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember that night, the whole night we stayed up. And that it's amazing. I want to talk about the guru now, because I feel that without the guru, all this is, how is this possible? And Mavin, I know many times your relationship with Lakshman sir and the many gurus that you have had, that the challenges that they throw, as you have said just now, and the most beautiful thing that could ever happen, Swamiji used to say that the greatest Guru Dakshina you could give is when somebody asks you, who is your Guru? It's amazing. And then you've done justice to that teaching. And I want you to share with us rather, those moments when you have noticed in his eyes, when you have danced or you have done something, not by words, by his gesture, by his glance, by his manner, that you have felt very deeply in you that he is with me and he is pleased with me and he is there with me and he is pleased. I have made him proud. That moment, those moments are in a lifetime. When we look at our lifeline, those are the only moments that are worth carrying with us. So I wanted to share those precious. I know it could be very intimate. It could be some things that you may not want to share, but sometimes to explicate them, to say them out, will hit a chord in a soul out there who's watching. So.
Yeah, you're going to make me a bit emotional. But, I want to say this. For me, I have always been, as you said, having I've trained so much. I'm still so actively in training, right? And I've had many ballet teachers, for example, through my life. Some who have been for 20 years teaching me and still teaching me. Some who are at particular points in my life. I personally have a very clear, for myself, a clear relationship with the people who are very good teachers for me, and a guru. And why I say that is because the imprint that Lakshman sir had on me it went beyond Bharatanatyam. It went way beyond that. It anchored a whole spine in terms of how I look at creativity, how I express creativity, how I explore creativity. It went beyond Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam. And actually, I often say, as a contemporary performer today, if I am able to go into a space of creativity in a contemporary idiom, that curiosity actually stemmed from that early training with him in an openness of curiosity, right? But what I will share with you some very, very intimate moments. He never ever said to me ever once, well done. Never. I never heard it ever from him, right? But I knew by, for example, it will be a particular moment in a performance where maybe a conclusion of a jati or a particular way that he would sing. He used to love singing in Manodharmam. So that's where I learned to develop Manodharma, because he would go there with me. And, a particular sangati he would take, and he would see my reaction to it. And I would see in his eyes, as you say, a kind of enthusiasm. Yeah. But two moments for me are very important. One was when I did the inauguration for Krishna Gana Sabha. I was 17 years old, right? Just a kid. And the next day, I was going to Bombay to dance with him on the train. I was quite exhausted because the preparations for the inauguration was an intense. So on the way in the train, I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I found that he had placed my head on his lap. And he was doing this. And I remember that, I always say with Lakshman sir is that Bhaya Bhakti, the fear and the devotion, right? Because I remember lying there and one level feeling this tremendous gratitude. He was doing this. Another level, I was so scared to breathe because I realized that was, And another point for me, of course, that was very, very, very emotional was actually the last time I saw him before he died. I saw him about 4 or 5 months before he died. By that point, he was bedridden completely. And I would go every day to spend maybe 2 or 3 hours with him, just sitting on the floor, and he would just be on the bed. And he would spend 2 hours doing this to my head. He wouldn't say anything because he couldn't speak by then. But on the last day that I went to see him, I was with him in his room, and someone was in the living room practicing Viriboni Varnam. And he wanted to go out to the living, I'm getting emotional. He wanted to go out to the living room to do the Tatakali just to feel the talam, So we carried him out into the living room, but of course he had no strength in his hand. So he made me hold the Tatakali, put the talam, and he put his hand to feel the tala through my hand. And that was the last time I saw him. That those kinds of actions speak much more.
That is the Guru Kripa, or the Guru's grace, that makes all this possible.
Yeah.
Without that, we are totally zero.
Yeah.
And for Umesh, I know his father and Swamiji. The father is a dance guru and a father. Swamiji is a dance guru and a spiritual guru. So it is 4 in 1, 3 in 1, 2 in 1, all rolled in one. And I remember those years, Umesh, when Lady White Snake and you played the main role, your father was trying to choreograph all those movements for the duet with you and Gauri. And I remember those amazing moments when you choreographed the fate scene in Shakuntala, and Swamiji was just so thrilled at this whole choreography. And I mean, there are so many magic moments where the Guru has played the magic inside and outside us, right? So I know it's so hard to cull those experiences, but those are the things that we live by, and those are the moments that we make sense of in this lifetime. So you must tell us about that.
Wow, it's very big.
It's very big, I know. Sorry.
Actually, the Guru is everything. It's everything. There's nothing. I think it's very important what Mavin said, and today, who is watching, whoever youngsters are watching, it's so important that understanding and that belief that he will take you across. That belief, whether he can take you or cannot take you, you don't need to question that. That belief is so important. And that trust, yeah. As a student or as a disciple, I think that's the first thing that you need to be in. Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, so that doesn't mean you're just going to, but I think for me, everything was again in the right space. Swamiji was there, and I never chose, everything, we are all of us, Shankar, all of us, we were just there. And we are so lucky, actually, so lucky that, because we are so lucky, we didn't have to make so drastic choice of, I like this, I don't like this, I want to do this, I don't want to do this. Everything was guided. It was guided in the right direction. It was guided in the right way. Yeah. And because of that, I never questioned. I never ever questioned my guru, actually. Never questioned. As how Mavin is saying, you just, oh my God, I'm in his lap, or it's that respect we had. And especially, I remember once something totally out off tangent, nothing to be done. In fine arts, we killed a snake. And then, when you kill a snake, they say, you have to do all these things. It's a cobra. How Temple of Fine Arts those days.
Yeah.
And I thought I need to go and speak to Swamiji. And then, tell Swamiji what is the procedure of the
Pariharam.
Yeah. But when I went to my father and told my father, I remember Uncle Shiva was there, and I said, I want to speak to Swamiji about this. Swamiji said, my father looked at me and said, you want to speak to Swamiji about this? Who is Swamiji? Who are you? It can, for me, was like, wow. When you talk and when you don't talk, when you say and when you don't say, you cannot just jump in, open the door, I want to say this. No, there was a thing. The guru is something. And my father was the point of saying, look, there was a point of saying, he's the guru. He is, eventually he was my friend, he was everything. But that from that relationship, from that angle to where Swamiji was before he was with me, was actually, was so deep. And, whatever I did was for him, for the guru, to feel to make that guru satisfied. It's not because the guru is satisfied, it's because that he is guiding you, and whatever you do will be right because you have satisfied him. I think that is so important. And that, again, that comes down to, if you choose a guru, you have to have the trust. I remember there's so many personal talks with Swamiji. And Swamiji, I don't have a teacher, I don't have a proper, just do, things will come. Everything will fall into place. That was the belief. Remember, we never, in Temple of Fine Arts, we were not earning money. Shankar, remember, we go to the canteen, we look and can we afford that vada or not? Who can pay for us for vada? Oh, okay, now we go to Fine Arts, and then how are we going to go back? There's no bus. We cannot buy a ticket for the bus. I couldn't. Should I stay back? That was the thing. But that trust and saying that this man will take care of me was the ultimate. I had millions in my pocket. I had everything. And if I didn't have this trust, I think I would have gone in the wrong way. So that, I think, for me, a guru is so important in that way, that I don't need anything. I don't need money. I don't need anything. He will give you. And he's given me so much, nothing. I never asked, and it's all there. He's taken care. But that trust for people who I know, maybe I'm going so deep into about guru and all that, but that trust of a teacher, and you take a teacher and they're saying, I will listen to you. I will not question you. I'm learning from you. You are giving me knowledge, and I'm here to take that knowledge. I'm here to learn. It's so important, because the knowledge will come. Even though the teacher can't give you, the knowledge will come because your bhavana is right. Your state of mind is right. Even the teacher cannot give you, it will come. And I think that's the beauty of being with a great man like Swamiji and all these people, because that knowledge will just flow because the bhavana is right. And again, that bhavana was the way we brought up in the institution of Temple of Fine Arts. Yeah, it was just not dance. It was just from dance to cleaning to lepaking in fine arts to washing the whole space, and to Shankar, remember running around playing in the rain. People, I know, Kanagiri come and look at us and say, "What are we doing?" Suddenly, it was a home. It was a home from morning to night. It was a home. We never wanted to go back. Yeah, because we had this person, this home had this father, this mother, this figure that will take care of us. This was more better than home. It represents all aspects, and that was the Guru. The Guru was in that space that made me today. Actually, I don't feel I have not gotten enough. I'm thankful all the time. Thankful, actually. Even I'm not dancing is fine. It's about thankful because I had a Guru who gave me that space to perform, and what you're saying, seeing me perform and all that, it's fine. But for me, from that performance space to move on to right now who I am, not performing, is fine also. And that is very important. And that is very important, and very important for any dancers to be able to understand and think it's fine. I had my space and it's beautiful and it's fine and it's great. Yeah. So yeah. I really, when you go into
I know when you speak about the Guru, when you speak about
all of us, it's a different
when
zone.
You speak about the Guru, it has it works on so many levels of your personality, right? It's not just that's the difference between a guru, as you said, Mavin, earlier, and a teacher, because there's something within you that he knows which a teacher may not know. There's the inner workings of the mind and body which he may know, which the others will not have that intuitive. Having said that, my next question would be, not question, or rather my next point of probing would be, having learned in a Gurukulam system and then being, I'm not running one down or comparing one with the other, and having learned in a university setting, which has its own discipline and own sort of benefits, your basic degree and then your master's, how did that education, dance education, stand in parallel, and how did they mutually serve each other, or how did they synergistically bring about realizations of so many things? I'm sure, an academic degree alongside a traditional Gurukulam system, which speaks about a range of jnanam, which is intuitive sort of knowledge. When you sense a manodharma, for instance, you can't put that in a book, can you? You have to intuit it by the virtue of being in association with the Guru for an extended period of time. And that sort of fellowship learning in comparison to an academic, both have virtues, I'm very sure. So can you just tell us about your experience, your journey in that academia? Because your father comes from academia as well, so that's why.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Actually, no one has ever asked me that. I think what's interesting, if I look back and reflect back, is that I think having come from that very specific training, one-to-one training, and training that was really designed then on my body and my creativity and my potential, then going, whether it was in university or even in terms of my ballet training and stuff like that, which is a kind of mass training, if you like. What is interesting is that somehow by the time I went to develop my Western dance training, if you like, when I look back, I somehow had the potential of, even within that system, drawing the attention of the teachers for very individual training. And that's interesting, actually, when I think back. So, for example, now I don't think this could happen anymore, but my ballet teacher, Marion St. Clair, was an amazing teacher. I was saying to someone that day, I remember her when she was sick, she would call me to her house, and I would do bar in her bedroom, holding her dressing room cabinet, and she'd be in bed sick, teaching me, So I managed somehow in the West to still cultivate that kind of relationship with my teachers. And I think it's because they saw a madness in me that they were very touched by. Also by then I was single-minded enough not to feel within a group setting, not to feel like I had to fit in with everyone else. So I was very single-minded about my dance training and what I wanted to get out of the dancing. I was never there to to meet friends and to so I was never pressured in terms of my peers to hold myself back because of everyone else. And I think that was very, very specific. In terms of the academic perspective, it's interesting you mentioned my father, because I think my father is a very interesting academic himself, and he's quite an unconventional academic. And I think that has rubbed on to me and my brothers very much, in the sense that even in terms of our perception of academia and research, it's still very much within the belief and the conviction that it is about doing as opposed to just conceptualizing. And I think that's
a pragmatic approach.
Yeah. And I think that's something that is a very complex issue today with dance. I know I'm sure, Shankar, you have it as well. When we work with Bharatanatyam dancers, the new generation of Bharatanatyam dancers, most of the time, my advice to them is stop just conceptualizing, go back to your body, because the notion of research in South Asian dance has become so, the language of academia jargon is so impressive that people are forgetting to go back to the body. And so they conceptualize things and they speak about things very intellectually, but it's not embodied in the body.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I was always very skeptical about academia, even when I was in academia. And Umesh and I had the same fantastic academic scholar researcher who I think helped both of us a lot, because she was so anti the establishment of academia, and her whole thing was about the lived experience and the rigor of that. So we were very fortunate, actually, both of us, to have Christina Kustula. Yeah.
That's the same thing that I was about to ask Umesh, because the academia from his training in Western Australia, I mean, both of you are multidisciplinary. Both of you are adept in the Western as well as the Indian styles. So that training in WAPA, how did it open your mind to see things in another light, maybe? And then in London, and how it kind of stripped you naked of conceptions of what dance is in our stereotypical way of thinking, how that academia has actually set apart or put apart frames of thinking that we would naturally have or already have.
Yeah, I think when you're going to say, and for those who are watching, I think not dancing and then doing a degree doesn't work. Doesn't work. We have to have a system that has started way beyond, and then when you start a degree, you know what you want, what you are looking for, and what are you searching for. And then when you do your masters, you're searching for further. Yeah. And I think the situation in Malaysia, actually, we don't have that situation. You just suddenly do a degree and you become a dancer in 3 years. And that's the difference between Gurukul system and this system. I think it's training, but there's so many other things, the guru relationship of training, and how do you learn dance, and how do you wait for the teacher to teach you, and when the teacher teach you, and when the teacher doesn't teach you, and all these things. So when you have this system and you go into a degree zone, your antenna is in a different zone. You understand? It's like you're searching and saying, oh, this is nice. I want. So when I went to Wapa already, I knew what I want to see. I knew what I want. It was not, oh, am I learning dance? I knew. And being in the Temple of Fine Arts, you know how Temple of Fine Arts, we till multiple disciplinary from the day one, young Odissi, Kathak, Bharatanatyam. We were just learning all these styles. And for me, the reason I went to Wapa was I saw Mikhail Brishnikov and I said, wow, this guy. Two people I saw, Durga Lal, Marji, Marji and Durga Lal in the Kathak zone, who just, especially, who just used the body and just like went into a different space. And when I saw Mikhail, I said, wow, Mikhail Brishnikov, and I said, wow, I want to be able to express. Again, coming back to being in that moment of being free to express beyond form and technique. So I said, wow, I can jump, I can tour, can I roll, I can do all this, but because it's so beautiful to be in that space. So that was the trigger for me to say, I want to do contemporary, I want to do ballet or what. I didn't know what was ballet, I didn't know what was contemporary, but I want to learn that form because I wanted to express myself, be able to express myself. So when I went to Wapa, yes, I had this thing when the teachers were talking, again, when, as a Bharatanatyam dancer, and going into a contemporary zone, we are very, very literal. When you say something, we want to say everything very literal.
Concrete.
My first year, I had so much of problem coming back, when you talk about mountain, we want to show mountain, not being the mountain or being the space, we have to really unlearn the way we think. But it was beautiful because, again, it was seeing something else, how the way people move and say, wow, you can say it like this also. You can say like this. It's so nice to see someone saying mountain in a different way. Someone is saying river, water in a different way, trickle down into the body. It was so beautiful. So I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I want. I want to be able to express at any point, at any time, in any moment. We should be able to connect and choose my tools, and the tools are there. The tools are there. And so doing a degree in performing arts and learning Western contemporary dance was just to increase or to expand my vocabulary in terms of what I want to say and what I want to express. And that doesn't mean I need to do contemporary dance now to express. I can go back into Bharatanatyam and suddenly rethink. The lens changes so differently. The way you think, everything changes. So it was very beautiful for me. And yeah. So for me, learning in Wapa for 3 years was fantastic. It was fantastic. And again, I how we take teachers so deeply, gurus and all that, and how some of the teachers couldn't take it, that understanding of guru and relationship. But because of that relationship, till today, they have been with me. They call me, so Rohini is learning in Wapa. They are with me. They are constantly with me. They are in connection with me. They talk to me. And because of that they know that, wow, this is something I feel it's a touch. When you form a bond with a guru, it's a lifetime bond. I think that's very important. So going into an academic space and bringing this Gurukul system into this academic space, I managed to do that. I feel, this system has gone there, and they are coming and saying, hey, can we come and do some classes with you all? That system was there. So I think it's very difficult for people today, dancers today. But again, we are so lucky and gifted to be in the presence of Swamji and the Temple of Fine Arts, who gave us that space to understand that concept, that idea of how to learn and when to learn and how to learn. Osmanji, yeah, it's you never. That's why again, you never choose. You cannot choose. It's not your level to choose. It's not your level to think of who you want, how you want to dance. Nothing. But they will come, and it came in so many ways. And as when I did my MA, as Mavin said, Christina was totally in a different space. She took me into a different world. I tell you, really, it changed my whole way of 40 years. I have to suddenly rethink 40 years of learning. Suddenly became like nothing. She just threw the pieces down on the floor and asked me to pick it up. That was my MA. It was, yeah, I can go on for 3 days about this. But yeah, that was my MA, and I learned so much. But again, it's very important from your maturity to go into that MA, to understand where you are and do an MA, and why you choose what you want to choose in the tools that you learned, performativity, all the concepts you choose, and you have to connect it to where you are in your space. And you not use it as because this is the theory and this is the norm. I think it's very important, and and she told me, she keeps on telling me, because we have these long conversations, because after we have our class starts from 2, then we finish at 6. Then we have this long train journey back to the city, like a good 1 hour, and she'll tell me, this guy is too young, why she's in MA? She's saying that you need to start
experience.
Yeah, thinking. So when someone says something, it triggers certain things. You don't look at the theory, you don't look at it and say, oh yeah, this is it. You have to connect it back. I used to read a paragraph, and it takes me a day to understand a paragraph. Because I need to realize that how does it connect to me? How does it connect to Temple of Finance? How do it connect to my embodiment of where I come from? And once I connect to that, it becomes so suddenly it's a different zone. Wow, really? Wow, this is good. Yeah. So I think that's the thing that my MA really changed my whole perspective of dance, life, human being, beyond body, really beyond dance. The idea of beyond dance, body can go beyond anything. Yeah. So you don't have to dance to it. So MA has pushed me into that different zone of what is dance, who are we as society, human beings. And then again, can you connect back to Swamji, spirituality, Ramana Maharishi, yeah, and all this. It's a very deep space that I can go on talking, but yeah. So yeah.
What amazes me, Mavin and Umesh, the both of you, I mean, I guess I do that as well, but how do you juggle between being a dancer, being a teacher, and being a choreographer of creative works? We wear these multiple hats, and the proportions of which shift as the timeline of the life cycle moves, right? From an active performing life to a teaching life to a creative zone. I mean, sometimes each one of us, different combination of things, but how do you juggle that? Because each one requires a depth of energy and a depth of resources to they're giving me the warning that we're running out of time. So this is going to be one of the second, but the last but one question to you guys. So we make it brief, or if you can just enlighten us on, because this is something that a lot of aspiring dancers out there, many of us, we jump into dancing and then we'll end up teaching, or we go the passion of teaching and then we miss out dancing, and then we go on trading off between the three things that we love to do, or we are forced to do, or we are squeezed in to do. So how do we balance this? This balancing act itself is a fine art in itself. So how do you do that?
But the first thing I would say very quickly is I think it makes a huge difference when your identity with dance is related to your riyas, your practice, and not to performance, to the study of dance. Because for me, that has always been the case. So regardless of whether I'm teaching or choreographing or performing, my daily class has been a constant with me since I was, a 5-year-old kid. And my identity with dance is stemmed in my practice, in me being a student of dance. It really is. So whether I'm working on a show, whether I have a project, whether I have a kacheri or not, that comes and goes. It never takes me away from who I am in relation to my dancing. And the next thing is, and I'm sure I think the two of you feel the same thing as well. As I have got older, the reason why I dance has changed tremendously. It has shifted a lot. The fact that I love to dance, the fact that I'm mad about dance has become almost incidental. I completely now, my relationship with dance is about responsibility and serving the dance. So therefore, whether it is via teaching or myself in the space of performance or creating, the intention stays the same. And
Very
that I
vital
think,
point. I think it's a
yeah,
very vital point.
that's a big difference, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes many young dancers, especially, passionate about dancing, and then to eke a livelihood, land up teaching, which is actually premature with experience. But you land up teaching, and then you actually got into this because you want to dance yourself, but 3 parts of the day is gone off in teaching, and then you just lose your body tone and your practice, and everything goes flying out of the window because of a passion that you started off with suffers because of distractions, attractions. I don't know how you pin it. So these
But
are no, I'm asking this question solely because a lot of young dancers out there land up in this situation, right? They
yeah.
land up teaching, and I see them and they are very young and they are teaching, and I think, how can they, I mean, what do they have to teach? I mean, with all due respect, I wonder, and that's because of a necessity, not because of a choice. And of course, I mean, some of us are made that way, that we have to dance every day, otherwise we cannot live. But when the load of teaching becomes heavy, then the self-practice of the riyaz gets out of the window, which shouldn't be the case at all. That should be, because I personally believe that teaching is actually a transposition of your practice upon the student. I mean, how do you inspire that student to dance every day? I mean, how do you get that inspiration out of that person? Once they've got that fire, then they're ready to go. I mean, that the sky's the limit. But if they don't, then, so this sort of a trade-off between, and then, some of the choreographic works that Umesh has done in the group works are just out of this world. I mean, it's just like, I just am amazed at some of the creations that he has done where himself is dancing in it, because sometimes I find it hard to choreograph an ensemble and then jump into it myself and not have the critical eye. These are like truly amazing feats to juggle the three hats, to wear the three hats, which then leads me to the next point. At this point of our careers, the body is not as agile or as mobile as it could have been before. And yet the quantum amount of riyaz, or the quantum amount of passion that was done in the earlier part of life resonates very strongly. Because the other day when I danced with Umesh after so long, he just got up and he danced the Alarpi like a breeze. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I mean, the body hadn't moved for a long time. He was saying, I haven't danced. But then when he got up to dance, it was just like, and then I thought to myself, perhaps this is what is it when you talk about previous life and you come into another life and you're a dancer, you're a genius when you're born. I mean, it's that quantum amount of work done in the earlier part of life that vibrates in you, and then it just requires a particular spark or something to set it ablaze again. And can you tell us your thoughts about that, David? Beyond the body, beyond the body, literally.
Yeah, there's something very important that I've learned is about earning it, right? And what Umesh was saying just now, even when we talk about surrender, right? Or even when we talk within the context of our philosophy in dance of something like Anandam or moksham, those ideas are not things that can be just shown. You earn it. You work to a space where one feels genuine transcendence or bliss. Many times it comes from exhaustion. And as a Devi Bhakta, I always say it's impossible for me to approach something like Mahakali by performing it. One has to go through a journey that takes it beyond form, beyond body, and where the idea of transcendence is an experiential truth. And when you're talking about Umesh, I think we underestimate the value of what we were saying from the start, which is to have initially a period of madness, because that sits then with the body. Am I here? Yeah.
Yeah. It got hung for a while. Yeah.
That madness, that rigor, that pushing eventually comes to a space where it speaks without having to be urged. I remember actually when a few years ago, we were doing a massive festival in France, Avignon Festival for Akram's company. And we were closing the festival and it was the biggest venue possible. And actually Sarasa had come from Perth to watch it, actually, I remember. And on the opening night, I was coaching the dancers. On the opening night, mid-performance, one of the main dancers tore his Achilles tendon on stage, right? And the show had to be stopped. And we had another week of performances. And Akram said, okay, you go and do it from tomorrow. I had not danced for about 4 months because I was coaching everyone. I mean, I'd done my daily class, but to do a piece like that, which is full out, I swear it is only because of the rigor of my training from before that it could come out like that overnight. And I think that is a very, very important aspect. But that concept of earning it, I think you earn it. And even to come to a place of stillness, one has to go through a journey to earn that minimalism and to earn that stillness. So I think one thing I want to share with young dancers is to really consider this journey with their dance as a long journey. And that part of their journey is to have that period where you're just showing off, where you want to show everything that you can do, how many turns you can do, how many jumps you can do. I did all of it, right? How many Mandi Aravus I could do. It's all important as well. It's part of the journey. The purging out of the ego is part of the journey as well. But you can't purge out the ego unless you've confronted the ego. So the journey is a long one. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think like in recent years also in my own personal journey, there are many points that when we dance, like suddenly I realize on stage, we realize with the synergy of the musicians, just realize that this dance is the yoga, because at that moment you just lost yourself. You just don't know. There is no more individuality left at that point of beauty or that point of aesthetic bliss, for a want of a word. I mean, you just lose it. You lose yourself. And that yogic point, when they say the dance is a yoga. It's only now, after so many years, that suddenly it's just like a glimpse of it. Just you feel that moment, that moment. And so that beyond the body is, I always think in Bharatanatyam, they have in the Tilana, the Mei Adavu, the Mei Adavu. It seems in ancient times, this Mei Adavu was called Mei Marandadavu. Mei is to body. And the original name of Mei Adavu was Mei Marand. That means you forget your body, and you finally in the Tilana, when, as you said, you reach a point of exhaustion where the total surrender to that moment, your soul is now dancing, and the body is incidental to the rigor of earlier practice has become prakriti of your body. Your body is just by nature, it would hit an Natyarambam, it would hit a frame by its nature. But now it's no more a conscious movement. It is a forgetting the body movement. And that was the Mei Adavu was supposed to be that, you reach that. And I suppose that's the same concept in Odissi with moksha, which is you forget, you are supposed to forget that you existed, that you exist, because that we exist itself is a fallacy. So to be in the zone of truth at that moment is the point of all that rigor. I mean, it's ironical, but yeah. So Umesh, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts. How many thoughts?
Circulate.
No,
Percolate.
I think I never played ahead of a choreographer, dancer, performer. Being in finance, I played ahead of building, taking care of this institution. There's so many things, dancers, choreographing, are they fine? Where's the institution going? Where is the direction of this institution? Because I was given that space. And I think being from the very day one with Swamiji was getting all this thing, and being with my father and being, Shankar being all in this thing, that all of this was taken care, and it was beyond choreography, is beyond dancing, it was beyond performance. It was about feeling. And it's about transcending this feeling to someone else. Allowing someone else to feel this. And in order to allow this feeling, I couldn't play the head of a choreographer, dancer, performer, or whatever, the three things. I had to play so many things. I was just, making sure the studios were right, making sure the next generation, I was just in that zone. But that was a joy. That was my joy. That was my real beautiful joy that I had. And because really, Shankar, we toured so many places, we had so many shows. We whether it was a big show or not show or whatever, but really we had our time. Yeah. So for me, it was trying to find a space of providing a space for dancers, for what I've got lah. And because my father and we were left very young, so everything was so tragic that we needed to continue. There was a continuation of where was left. I remember when my father passed away, and then there was a new production, I think Jonathan Levin Seagal, and Swamiji asked me, choreograph. So I'm like, really? Choreograph? What is choreography? And he was showing me this movement. And in my mind, I'm saying, God, he's dancing and I can't even visualize what he's trying to say. And he's going down on the floor and he's getting up. I know I need to find this. And I just needed to say, I need to be there. I need to be in that moment. God, please give me that moment, because he's going down. My teacher is going down and saying, I need you to tell me this. And I was not trained for that. So that surrender of, again, coming back to that, beyond body and mind, you were 5 steps ahead. You were 5 steps ahead. You needed to suddenly become a choreography in 2 seconds, And I'm looking at it and I said, I just surrendered. It was just, whether the choreography was great or not, but it was about just giving in. And I think that whole aspect of my life was because of that passion of just giving in, was saying that, hey, it's all about giving, because I got so much. Yeah, so when you get so much, you just need to give, it's enough of taking. So for me, it was more the head I play right now is choreograph. I don't do much choreography, because lockdown also worse some more. Dancing, Shankar, thank you very much for doing a work with me in April. That at least I moved. I thought I was going to move, but then again now I've got a dog. I've got a family, and it's fine. I think it's fine because I'm still dancing. I'm still dancing in my space, and I'm still dancing. And I really wish I can do more. I really wish I can do more. But I will try. And that's my head of father, choreographer, dancer, Temple of Fine Arts, dance space, inner space, outer space, all the space. The head of putting all that and trying to fulfill all this equally, balanced, and my space, because I really love to dance. I really love to dance, really. And I hit that space, I like that, wow, it's so beautiful, it's so nice. I really want to be in that space. But it's fine if I'm not in that space. It's fine. And it's okay. It's okay and it's fine. There's a bigger purpose and it's fine. But really, I would love to dance. And I know when I dance, I can let that inside there. I can be that the only really right now, even the day I was like, I can't think look at me, apa, like that. But so it's there, but it's not about that for me. For me right now, it's not about that. And it's fine. Yeah.
I think
body and
I think
actually
though I plan to start off this thing from a timeline kind of a biographic sketch, I gather from both of you when you both speak that from the very word go, it has always been beyond body. Though it felt like a lot of rigor at the beginning, but when you look at it from a bird's eye view, it looks like from the word go, it was the grace of the Guru, and it was some divine will that makes beyond body, that makes the body move, right? I mean, the body moves at such tremendous power. I mean, those mandi adavus, those pirouettes, all that is beyond body, is beyond body that triggers or is the dynamo that makes it happen. So I need to sadly wrap up the session because I'm getting all these messages from the host. Please.
Can I just share something?
Yes, sure.
Share something of I'll try to share something that I would like to share, okay? Something that I've done recently with the recent work that I've done. The text goes like this: oh, pain, position, need to maintain. Fuck, I really need to hold this position. Do I? Why? Hasta, gesture. My gesture? really my gesture? I need to practice to perfect my gesture. Perfect. What is perfect? Who decides? Drishti, my eyes. My eyes should follow where my hand goes. Yato hasta tato drishti. My eyes knows where my hand goes. My eyes is constantly aware of my limbs. Whose eyes? What eye? It said the eye is the window of the soul. Whose soul? Stritra, steadiness. Stritva, sorry, steadiness. Steady mind or steady body? Rekacha, alignment, symmetry, balance, rekacha, equilibrium. Equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion. What is done on the right has to be done on the left. Parampara, tradition, repetition, follow, do as you told, again and again and again. Do not question whose guesses. Depersonalize. Technique, square your pelvis. Is your pelvis square? Point. Brahmari, pirouette. Center. Where's your center? Is it here? Classical center? Is it in your mind? Javahas, Ritvas, Rekacha, Brahmari, Drishti, Rashrama, Manas Bhavo. What is rasa? Who's rasa? I just feel these are the things that is running. These are the things that is running today. When you say beyond body, really, whose soul? Who's dancing? Who is watching and saying this is beautiful? What is beautiful? What is dance? Yeah, so there's so many things that I think which is growing and I'm moving forward. But yeah, I would like to share that text with you all.
Beautiful. I think it has been such an inspiring session to probe behind the minds of you both. It's just, we every time see people dancing, but we don't see what's the mind, the thoughts, the journey behind those bodies that dance on stage. And a lot of people out there would enjoy this session. And I'm on to Booma, because there's a whole range of a few questions out there which we are ready to take. So I'm going to mute myself and on to Booma, and you can give the questions out. Let's see.
Well, we have quite a few questions here. I will start with one by Marian de Cruz, who is also a very well-known figure in the performing arts field. And her question is actually directed to all three of you. And she says, what do you think is lacking in young artists nowadays? Maybe Shankarane, you want to start?
When you say that, I think of a Korean proverb. Korean proverb says, when you are young, you want to change the world. And when you're old, you want to change the young. So we always find fault with the youngsters that we say that, you know, what's wrong with them these days? How come they don't have the fire that we had? But I think it's a question of resources. I mean, today there's so much on YouTube. You can watch any dance that you want, any artist that you like. Everything is just like a big, huge buffet there. And you can just pick up what you like and you can throw off what you don't like. When I was younger, one small video of a Padma Subramaniam or a Dhananjayan will be like a rarity, this Doordarshan video, and we'll watch it again and again. And then we'll try to emulate them. We'll try to follow them. Then we only have this limited resource. And that limited resource squeezed you into pushing yourself to get there. And I think that's like the major difference, because like today, I don't feel people are mad enough to die for it. And they can't imagine, I couldn't imagine not dancing. But I think there are so many young dancers who are far more talented than we were at that age now, but they don't have the fire that to do it because it's so available. There's a democratization of artists. At one time, the artist was this haloed being that arrived on stage like a god. And one Kamala Lakshmanan or a Vaijayanti Mala was this god. But today there are about 25 people on stage, and everybody's dancing very well, and it's just like another person on stage. And so that deification of the artist has diminished, and as a result of which the passion for that also, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are. It's just a random thought.
Very interesting. I mean, that sparks even more questions in my mind, to be honest. Mavin, what do you think?
I mean, my response is very much, I think, in context to where I live as well. I think it's very important to really consider with young people, as much as what we want them to be able to work towards is also our responsibility as an infrastructure, as people who are creating that infrastructure. What are we doing to create an infrastructure that supports and guides them in the right way? But one of the things that for me is, it's amazing how much where I live, the real idea of loving the dance, right, is so hard to find. And because I work with massive ballet companies, where I live, the idea of dance being a job is so prominent. And in it being a job, it has lost so much the idea of a dancer just loving dance. And when I go to coach many times in some of the best ballet companies, I find that my job first and foremost is to get real professional young dancers to go back to falling in love with dance and not doing a job. So my thing is always, as I keep saying, to always, I always say, remember what it's like to be that 14, 15, that particular age, 14, 15, 16 is usually when the fire is really, and try to keep that 14 or 15-year-old in you all the time, because that will spark curiosity, that will spark a persistence and a determination that you have at that age, and that will spark a passion that is felt, that is infectious. And that's I think is important. And hi, Marian.
And Umesh Anna, what do you think?
Yeah, what I think is actually, no, totally that 14, 15, maybe you're right. Yeah. And I think right now we are in a hyper-textual space where people can watch videos, so many videos, so many things. Being a student, how we used to be, and being, this is my teacher, I will do anything to do what I do. Coming back to that whole idea of learning of, I've chosen you as my guru, I'll do anything to do. And now suddenly you are teaching me this, but I can go into YouTube and say something else. So because there's so much of exposure, it just distracts youngsters of saying, I like this, or I don't like this. I like this and like this. She's saying me like this. So yeah, YouTube is good. Yeah, Shankar, how, we had Padma Subramaniam there, but we cannot have dialogue with Padma Subramaniam. We just got the video and just learned it. But here you can just Google and say, oh, Padma, can someone has comparison with Padma? So that comparison gives them a thing of totally in a different zone of what direction do I go? And this I feel this is good, but also it's not good. It's not good. That whole idea of, yes, this is my teacher. And you have so many teachers, and how you hit the transformation changes not overnight. It has to change over time. But because of YouTube and because of so many things that you see, you can say, oh, this person is teaching me like this, but and I saw something else like this, but then I saw like this, and like, so that passion is still there, I feel, but it's suddenly what I want. What do I really want? Who do I choose? Where do I choose? What is the pathway that I commit 150%? I'm going to dive. This is the person that I chose, and I'm going to go 150%. Whatever he teaches, right or wrong, I'm going to be with him. And you need that. You need that. You need that to be a student.
That's a very interesting point, Umesh, because that brings me to the next question, which has been posed by Vidya Kartigesu. And her question is, how far do you think it's appropriate to push students, aspiring students, whether they are preparing for a show or an arangetram, which all of you have done in some form or the other, without breaking their spirit or demotivating them? How would you all respond to that?
Sorry, can you repeat that? My light went off.
No. So your answer led me to the next question from Vidya Kartigesu, who says, or who is asking, what are your thoughts on when you train a student? You know, you were talking about going that 150%. But when you train a student for a show or an arangetram, as many as Shankarana does, or you know, Mavin is doing his productions daily as you are, what are the limits, or how much do you keep pushing the boundary without breaking the spirit and or causing demotivation within the student?
I think the key factor, Buma, that you've already mentioned is being specific about the student and not the students, and the dancer and not the dancers. The specificity of a coach, as I am in many companies, or a teacher or a guru, of being able to work with with a deep understanding of the psychological and physiological and emotional and physical facility of the individual that they are working with, even if it's within a group context, is the most important skill, which is why not everyone is a teacher, not everyone is a guru, and not everyone is a coach, essentially. But that is the key factor. And of course, you can see from whether it's Vasuki teacher or Lakshman sir, actually why they are such fantastic educators is that the people that they have coached really range in terms of experiences. And no way that range of experiences would have the same interaction and the same kind of facilitation that happens in terms of coaching and pushing. And yeah, so the responsibility in understanding that it is an individual, and that for each individual it is a specific relationship that is built, is, I think, a key factor.
I think that's fantastic. Actually, we have a question for you, Mavin. You are very musically sensitive, and you mentioned about Lakshman sir, you know, also paying so much of importance to that. And what kind of advice would you give to current day dancers in terms of that musicality in the dance, or being a dancer that is musical? Because they don't, although it goes hand in hand, they don't naturally work hand in hand in many dances, many performing dances.
Yeah, I mean, I work like that because I really also, of course, it's so much in me because of how I was taught. But as I've got older, I feel more and more that if I carry with me a particular bani, a particular legacy, that is Idea Lakshman, it's more and more, it's become less about his choreography, but really his musicality and the manner in which he used to place musical emphasis, the manner in which he used to sing alap, you know, the heavy influence of gamagas, the no brigas, the way in which he would articulate Manodharmam, the choices of his orchestration, all those kinds of stuff. And what I tend to do now, I notice when I teach, is I spend a good half of the class actually just listening to music with students, to get them to really rigorously see what is TM doing in this alapana. Why is he singing? What are the choices that are being made? Do you agree with those choices? Is this just performative? Is this immersive? Analyzing music has become a very important part of when I teach dance, because for me, I feel that really, if you and it's linked to my particular lineage of dance, of course, but for me to stand and dance a Varnam, really 45% of the information that's going to come about the embodied experience of the Varnam is going to come really from a deep understanding of even Shankara Varnam is that particular raga that is going to identify the whole Shtaibhava of the piece in itself. That's going to establish the tone of the Shringaram that needs, whether it's majestic, romantic, you know, all those things. So I spend a huge, more and more, increasingly so actually, and actually now we're teaching with lockdown because time has shifted a lot, right? I would say a big chunk of it on music, and I think I think that's very, very important. I mean, yeah, I think music and sahityam. Yeah. And actually, it's what Shankar was saying. I mean, the resources are amazing. I can teach a whole class just going on YouTube and finding different videos and using it as analysis, which those days for us to get, I remember, Shankar, do you remember when you found the cassette of the Kaliga Nardanam? And that was such a big find to find those days.
And now every other person is dancing it. It's a one-off thing at that time, and now it's across the board. Everybody's doing it.
I don't know if you guys have seen that there's a subscription on YouTube for something called I think it's called VAAK, VAAK, and it's got all the recordings, genuine recordings from Bala Saraswati singing a full kacheri for 2 hours. Wow. I mean, just incredible resources, So yeah, when we have all of this in hand, we should really use it.
Well, which brings me to the next question. Shankar and maybe you can answer this. How do you think, some anonymous question that is coming, how do you think for people who have now experienced this pandemic, pre-pandemic and growing up, we've had the opportunity to immerse ourselves in the arts. And now there's a bit of a lull, and we have resorted to mechanisms such as today. We are all in different parts of the world even, and yet meeting together. And how do you think that is going to change aspiring dancers and how they grow?
I think what Mavin just said just now is an answer to that. I mean, you have got this huge array of things available to you on the YouTube. It's just a question of your passion and how much you want it. You can see that same Varnam done by 5 different people and their approaches. You want the Sahityam, you've got 5 different takes on it. You want the Raga, you want the composition. At your fingertip, you have got everything available. And to add to that, a lot of artists in India are very accessible today via Zoom, via WhatsApp. I could just, I'll just tell you, even this was pre-pandemic. I mean, I wanted a Sahityam to be composed on the sun god and the cycle of agriculture. So I call up Rajkumar Bharti sir and I tell him, sir, I've got this. And Professor Raghuraman has written, just at the call, he said, yeah, give me half an hour. He wrote it. Then over a phone call, he's given it to Rajkumar Bharati. It's tuned, and while he's tuned, the jatis for that thing has already been done by Suresh over here, and then just piece together. I mean, with technology, it all depends on it all depends on how much you want it.
So do you see it more of a boon than a bane?
It could be. It could be. I think there are a lot of positive spin-offs. I mean, for me, for instance, I've tend to become more disciplined because of the Zoom classes, because you tend to be on the dot and you've got to wrap up, and you become time effective. It all depends how you bank in on the situation. The pandemic could be a blessing if you're using it in a disciplined way. I don't know.
Okay, Umesh, how do you think that all these arts productions that we've done at the Temple of Fine Arts, everything, how do you think this can now be sustained and carried on in this new norm that we live in? What are your thoughts on how we can proceed?
Wow.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, I think you have to start about expression. And our dance production was about expression, was beyond culture, beyond race, was this. And today, I think it's so important that we don't need to talk about where we come from or what race we are. And our productions were saying that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Butterfly Lovers, Masuri, Lady White Snake. So I think it's so important, and I think with the accessibility of training, there's a lot of dancers who are trained in so many styles, in Aswara and in fine arts. Yeah, we can transcend, we can move further. It's about expression. It's about expression. I think fine arts has started in 1981. We started that whole momentum of, whether we were Bharatanatyam dancers, we were trained in Bharatanatyam, but we were doing Jonathan Lingman singer. We were trying to become ballet dancers, but we were not trained in ballet dance. No, we were doing Masuri. We were not trained in traditional Malay dance. So that's the thing. It's beyond body. Somebody was thinking 5 steps ahead, and we were not ready. Our body was not ready to learn. We were not trained in ballet. We were not trained in classical form, but we need to express, and we expressed. Yeah, we were able to express. But I think that fine arts has created that space of being. It's about expression. It's not about where you come from, which religion you are, what technique you learn, whether Odissi, Bharatanatyam. It's not about that. It's about being able to dance, or being able to create a work that I can sit and say. And that's what Swami says. If you can you can have someone to sit and enjoy 20 minutes or 1 hour of show, you have done your job as an artist. Yeah, being able to allow them to forget their whole day's work and this, wow, I had a nice time. And that is the beauty of an artist. And that's the job.
Do you think that wow factor can be delivered moving on with these online interactions, where there is no personal, that you don't smell the sweat, you don't feel the heat, that in that setting, do you think we can sustain giving that factor?
Definitely can, but it's a whole form of presenting. And it's a whole form of presenting. You cannot go back to that whole normal way of presenting, the way your angle is of camera. That's why they call dance for film. That whole thing is a different training altogether, which we need to move into that space. We really need to move into the space, because actually,
and Umesh is amazing at editing that. Now he's got an amazing skill at editing video, because he's a dancer and an artist. Mavin, he's just amazing. Umesh has got this brilliant skill in piecing the whole dance board, the storyboard of the dance.
Trying. But I think it's
very
important.
Very artistic.
Yeah, but it's very important. It's very important, and actually, it can reach out to more audience. It can reach out to. But if if we have a system, and we have a method that all of us know, or if I was a butler, how can I present the work, and the angle has to move as if I'm experiencing it. It's not the choreographer's job already. Right now, you're going into collaborators. You're going into collaborators. You're going into so that's again, the cost is different.
Yes,
but the cost again, but because of the cost is different, but your audience is different also.
You see, answering that question, Bhuma, I would think, like, if I were to watch a Bala Saraswati on a film, or a Vaijayanti Mala, I mean, of course, I can't see them for real, but it still would trigger in me the wow factor quite prominently. I don't think it will fall short of that. I mean, the artistry is louder than the screen and louder than the screen. Of course, a physical show is there, but I'm saying their art is loud enough.
Loud enough, yes. I think many people cannot, most people will not deny that online technology has only given us more benefits than otherwise.
In relation to, also something has happened through this, which is quite political actually, which I think is quite important to mention here, particularly within the community of, or the industry of Indian classical dance and music, is that a lot of young people, the hierarchy of the industry, particularly in India and definitely in Chennai, is very much about sabas. It is very caste privileged. It is very class privileged. It's about who you know, which secretary you know, etc., etc. Suddenly, the pandemic has given an ownership to young people to present and show where and what they want to do without having to go through this. This has created quite an interesting discourse within the context of Chennai, definitely.
Absolutely.
And that is very fascinating from a political perspective.
You see, Mavin, if you can't get a program in the academy or Krishna Gana Sabha, you just post your program on a YouTube channel, for instance, and the viewership is 2.5K after a month. So that's better than having a pittance of a crowd in a Krishna Gana Sabha of 3 rows of people watching you. Here you've got the shelf life as well as a substantial audience over time. So it's another platform addressing another.
It's a massive one, and I think definitely it's interesting in terms of the notion of live streaming. I would say the in India it's become much more prominent than even in the West. The theaters were doing it in the West for a while, but they've but I know even for myself, probably because of the nature of how Indian classical dance and music audiences have now got on to live streaming, probably every time I do a live show, I probably will live stream it as well now.
Yeah, why
because
not?
They've built a whole kind of system now that seems to work. So,
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to wrap up this Q&A session here because we just have to, all those who are watching us, we just have a couple more things for you before we call it a night. So do stay with us. And to those of you who've just put in questions, I'm afraid we will not be able to discuss that. We might need another whole session for that, I think. So we will take a pause and we will share with you some thoughts, some views of esteemed members of the fraternity with regards to our panelists here today.
Namaskar. Mavin Khoo. Mavin Khoo, an artist, a brilliant dancer, choreographer. I've had the opportunity to work with him many a times. And what I admire about Mavin is I consider him an intellectual brain actually. He's an intellect who looks into the product. Supposing if I'm doing a production with him, working towards a production, I don't know, I'm sometimes amazed how he's able to bring various components to it and yet present it in a beautiful way. And he brings in the theatre element in it. He brings in a lot of the props that he uses. Amazes me because I've seen him, and also he's an artist who relates a lot with music. Me as a musician, and I can say that it's such a joy working with him because even in the rehearsals we won't be rehearsing number of times, nothing. We would rather be talking, we would rather be discussing. He said, Anna, can we do this at this place? Can we have little swara? At this place, can we do something abstract? So it was more. It becomes a challenge for me also. So to bring in the entire gamut of a particular raga in such a short span, and when there's a poetry going, and then there's a one spotlight, and then Mavin comes. I'm just imagining the production that I've worked with him. So it was such an experience, and he's a great artist. I wish him all well, and I look forward to working with you, Mavin, more. God bless. Namaskar. Shankar Kandasamy. This brilliant dancer, choreographer, teacher. I first met up with him in Perth when there was an urgent need for a vocalist for some Arange trips. and Swamiji had contacted us while I was in Australia. So I had gone on a tour, concert tour. I finished that. Then my fellow musicians came back, and then I went and landed in Perth. Then there was only 2 days, and I had to do. There were only I had to do sing for 3 arangetums, and all 3 conducted by Shankar. I was absolutely taken aback when I saw this beautiful, talented artist was so down to earth, was just sitting. But when I saw the items, the way he had choreographed each item, it was a challenge for me also. But at the same time, it was such a joy that we were enjoying ourselves. And Swamiji also loved the rendition, the choreography, everything. I think the way he knows whom to give nritta, whom to give abhinaya. He was able to. I could see that he could judge by the students' caliber as to who he'll catch their strong points, and then choreograph the item in such a fashion that it looks very simple, but it was such a bliss knowing him. And then subsequently I met him. Then we worked a lot together. Recently, I have not seen much of it done, but recently I happened to see one of his videos, Ekalavya production, I think, when he was dancing. So the movements that he uses, even while doing the shloka, that there was a walk where the sound of the bells, while the walk from one leg, the sound of the bells. So these are all very different, but yes, aesthetically done. So hats off to Shankar Kandasamy. My prayers, and I pray Almighty to bless him with whatever he desires. Namaste.
Hello, Shankar, Umesh, and Mavin. I'm thrilled to be able to say a few words on this occasion. The 3 of you are all connected with the Temple of Fine Arts as you gravitate towards championing classical Indian dance, foremostly Bharatanatyam and Odissi. As you venture beyond into contemporary dance forms and expressions, you have been awarded with honorable mentions and have proven to the world that your creative energies, your imaginative exegesis, scholarship, and mentorship have privileged younger Malaysian and international artists to reach to the height that you have achieved. Your servitude to the Parampara tradition during your Shishya's years and your original creations have transformed your good selves into gurus for all the Shishyas to come. Indeed, you have represented the second generation of the Temple of Fine Arts Masters in the best form. And I wish you all well as you transit from the present to your future endeavors, affirming your utmost dedication to imagine, to reiterate your dreams into new realities. Cheers to all of you.
Hari Om. To talk about Umesh Anna, Shankar Anna and Mavin Anna is not something that I'm qualified to do, but I do consider it such a deep privilege and blessing to have grown up watching them, being inspired by them, and just learning so much, both from near and far. When I think about Umesh Anna, I think the fondest memory that I have is the first time I watched him dance Bhadram for Vishwa Vinayaka. And I remember thinking, this is not of this world. It was something else. And also, you grow up listening to so many stories from all the other teachers and akkas, how Umesh Anna is such, he has this relentless pursuit for perfection. And I had a glimpse of it when we were preparing for the Ravana production in London as well, to just sit in a rehearsal where he is teaching and he is conducting the rehearsal. There was so much to gather. So it's not just about sitting in a perfect Aramandi, it's sitting in a perfect Aramandi and then giving in a little bit more. Or it's finding that perfect Natyarambam and then leaning a little bit more. So it's 100% and then you give a little bit more of yourself. And I think it was just so inspiring to just watch that. I have this very, slightly funny anecdote to share. In Hyderabad, when we had all gone to do Vishwavinayaka in Hyderabad, with Swamiji was there as well. One of the days, there was rehearsal going on and then there was a break and everyone was just sitting around in the auditorium chatting. And I was on one side, I remember, and then someone said, "Oh, Umesh needs a socks. Does anyone have a pair of socks? Umesh needs a pair of socks," for some reason. And I had a pair of socks, I don't know why, in my bag. So I took it out and then I passed it on, and then from my end of the auditorium, I saw it being passed to the other end and it reached him and he was wearing my pair of socks. And for me at that age, at the time, it was like the most thrilling thing, right? That someone you had so much of regard for is wearing your pair of socks. It's the closest I could get to him. But yeah, that's Umesh Anna. I mean, heaven is not a place, it's not a time. Heaven is being perfect. I think that's him for me. With Shankar Anna, I think Shankar Anna for me is a person that I just want to be around all the time. Such a repository of knowledge, and then you put that together with his quick wit and his humor. It's so enriching to be in his presence. I remember somewhere in my teens, I had an opportunity to accompany my music teacher Raji Akka for a set of arangetrams in KL. And so that whole period we stayed with Shankar Anna, and that whole time I will never forget how much I learned just being with him to and fro rehearsals and then at his home. So much to learn. And in particular, I remember that he was setting the piece Yenna Tavam Shedhanai for one of the dancers. And so one day he brought a cassette and he gave it to Raji Akka and he said, this is the version of Lalgudi sir's version of Yenna Tavam Shedhanai on the violin. Neenga vandu இதை அப்படியே கத்துன்னு வர முடியுமா? Can you learn this with every sangati just like that? So that whole night, Raji Akka taught it to me and then we practiced it and we went the next day. What was amazing the next day was every gamakam that we had learned, every little nuance that we had learned musically to sing, we were able to see it visually, right? So apart from the gestures and the story itself of Krishna and Yashoda and all of that, there was a layer of music that ran through the choreography and you were able to see it. And I think for me, that was the first time I really felt the magic of music and movement when they can really be married in that way, so inextricably linked. And I'll never forget that Shankar Anna was the one who really helped me feel that magic and helped me discover that magic. And finally, Mavin Anna, what can I say? I met him much later in my life and I think it was predestined. It has that meeting and then the subsequent years of singing for Anna and in that process learning from Anna, it has changed me forever. I'm not the same person. I'm not the same singer or musician before I met him. One of the most beautiful characteristics of Anna that I cherish so much is the fact that he is, Mavin Khoo, the world-renowned dancer. And yet, if you see him stand next to a Vasuki Akka, his teacher, or, next to an Akram Khan, or when he speaks about his guru, Lakshman Sir, he suddenly becomes that very small, shy boy, full of shyness and just full of simplicity and humility and a little bit of awkwardness. So I always have goosebumps thinking of it, that someone so big, so huge, so celebrated is so grounded and rooted. And that is something that baffles me and that I respect so much and that I love so much. And remember the first time Mavin and I met, and then I was supposed to sing for him, and he said, okay, let's go through the piece, ma. So I took my notebook, pen and all, and I was like, okay, Anna, this line how many times? Or can you give me what would you be doing? So visually I have an indication of when I should go on to the next line. And then he just smiled and looked at me, and then he said, just feel me, ma. Just feel me. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And then he started dancing. I was panicking, and this was just the rehearsal, and I wasn't sure, okay, what does just feel me mean? How many times am I supposed to sing this line? Can I change? Can I go to the next line? But then there comes a point where those questions just snap, right? And they just fall. They fell away, they go away, and there's silence. It's almost like you're forced to give up those questions and that need to feel in control, because then in that silence, I'm not able to explain what I've experienced in words, because words always fail. But it was like as though the music, through me, I was just an instrument. The music through me just found its way to meet him, to meet his dance. And that's how I feel every time I sing with him. I never knew that music existed in me. I never knew those phrases were within me, but his dance brought them out. Something unlocked within, and he helps me be, without worrying about, okay, what ragam, what, all the different things that you bring into a performance. Of course, all that work has to happen prior, but then and there. And also he dances differently from the rehearsals as well. So every time when you sing for him, it is just being. And I am forever grateful to Mavin Anna for helping me unlock that potential within me and to help me experience that.
In today's conversation, we have three great artists who have very unique individualized sense of artistry and storytelling. Though different in their process, they have a similar thread that links them through the respective journeys as artists. These three artists, who are loving and simple at heart, have extraordinary ways of creating worlds that allow us as Rasikas to lose ourselves within their works. From knowing them as boys to seeing them grow into the men they are today, I've had the privilege and honor of witnessing their artistic journey. Shankar, whom I firmly believe is connected to the main brain, has an enriched knowledge of mythology that brings the spiritual aspect into his every detailed choreography and abhinaya, which is easily relatable to everyone. Umesh, once I get past his good looks, will see the passion and love that reverberates throughout his entire being flowing into his movements, which engulfs me into this energized space as he dances. Mavin, in all the time that I have known him, has never spoken ill of another. He hones his skill by internalizing the script and research done for his works, and by staying true to himself. The bhava in which he presents his work reflects this, and the nuances that he creates, where the outcome has a ripple effect for the rasikas to experience. The laws of the universe must have loved me very much, as Shankar, Umesh and Mavin have been part of my life for over 4 decades and counting. Witnessing and sharing their artistic growth has impacted me to be the teacher I am today.
Hi, Sir Shankar, Sir Umesh, and Sir Mavin. I just want to say your passion, your dedication, your discipline, your enthusiasm, your charisma are always inspiring me in this dance field. And I'm very glad and very proud to be one of your students, dancers under your guidance. Thank you so much for your amazing person.
Same goes with me. Learning dancing under three of your guidance is truly a bliss. You have made every rehearsal or dance class so mesmerizing. And of course, working with three of you was really happy and memorable experience for me. Thank you for believing in my passion and seeing in the potential in me. Thanks for inspiring me and opening my eyes to new stages of opportunity and strength. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Hi everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to say something about Shankar, Umesh and Mavin. Three brilliant artists whom I have known for a very long time. There are many things that put these three artists in a class of their own. Firstly, all of them have been dancing from a very young age. Their entire lives have been in dance, performing, teaching, learning, creating all the time, on and on, relentlessly, passionately. Secondly, and this is what makes them great artists, their art, their dance comes from somewhere deep within, from their souls, from the deepest part of their beings. This, honed with all the learning of technique, theory, plus discipline and commitment, passion and love. This is their journey. They have consciously chosen this path. It has been my privilege to have watched them perform many times. When I watch them perform, I'm transported beyond the dance, beyond the technique, beyond the emotion. I'm somewhere else. I am something else. When an artist can do that, it is a blessing beyond words for the artist and the audience. Thank you, Shankar, Umesh, and Mavin, for your gift to us, your precious gift to us. I know that you will continue on and on and on in some way or another.
We hope that you all enjoyed that.
This is so humbling. Oh my
It was,
God. It's
yeah,
like,
very unexpected and very
it's
touching.
very touching. It's so humbling. Feel very humbled by this whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
We
So
would now
touched.
like to go to the very last, and I assure you, short section of tonight's program. I would like to call upon Prakash Kandasamy, who will be doing a short rapid fire session with all of us. Well, with all of you, rather.
Hi everyone. After listening to all of you all for so long, I feel like in Tamil they say Sivan Pujala Karandi Puda Madri, no connection. I'm coming in to ask you all some funny rapid fire questions. This is just, I think, we've heard of all of you all, in terms of dancers and performance and everything. And I think that there are many people who want to know you as just a regular Joes or so. I'm sure you have the regular quirks and things which everybody can relate to as well, and think that I could become like them because I also have the same funny things going on in my life, right? So just I've got some questions of the internet, so I'm just gonna try. Maybe can I ask you first, if a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be? It's a rapid fire, you gotta tell me quickly.
Drama tragedy.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the next one would be for my brother. Okay, if there was a movie made about you, who would play you?
Who would play me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Rajinikanth.
He's the one who can't dance at all. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. The ultimate choice. Okay. Umesh, don't panic, Umesh. I'm here for you. Are you a morning person or are you a night person?
Night.
Night, I see. Okay.
Even though practice was morning, but night the creative juice comes out at night.
Sound goes in. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Maybe just want to know, apart from dancers, who do you admire?
Musicians a lot. I hang out with a lot of musicians. Actually, people maybe wouldn't know this, but I have a lot of friends who are DJs because I'm really into electronic music. So yeah, a lot of musicians, I would say more. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's nice to know that it's the total opposite of what we've heard all this while. For those who don't know you, yeah, so that's nice. So I'm just trying to look for the question. Just sorry, yeah, I supposed to have found it earlier.
Hey,
Rapid. I'm the one who's slow in this rapid. Okay. Okay, my brother, what is the thing you're most afraid of? Most scary thing for you?
Very hard to answer that.
Rapid.
To answer this question rapidly.
Yeah. Because we have to wrap it up soon.
Yeah. To be unprepared and land on stage, I think that's the most fearful thing.
Okay, great. Umesh, for you, where would you go if you were invisible? It's a PG-13 show, so please answer properly.
PG-13.
Odakama, please.
Shit, I don't know.
Hey, don't say that. You cannot use that word. Okay.
Where would I go if I was invisible?
Not invisible, invisible.
Yeah. Shit, man. Bank lah.
Oh my God. Okay, go to the bank. Just remember, I was the one who gave you the idea. So
I don't know.
But whatever you're taking from the bank won't be invisible. Only you will be there. There'll be like floating things coming out of the bank. Okay. So, okay. For my brother. Sorry, is it? Sorry. Is it?
Mavin next.
Mavin. Okay. What is the song that you hear the most often? What is the thing which you keep on going to, the song which you go to all the time? Not necessarily Indian, anything. I mean, it could be Indian as well, anything.
I guess, I mean, this might sound quite boring, but actually the only thing that I listen every day regularly are my prayers in the morning. So that's quite a staple. But I want to jump and steal Umesh's question a bit, because I always think about what I would love if I was invisible. I would love to be in the middle of, like, in those meetings that happens between politicians in closed doors, to know actually what the hell is happening.
That's a very important place to be, actually, and find out.
I would love to listen to all those conversations that happen behind closed doors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. So now who are we? Now it's my brother again. Okay, if you won $1 million, what would you buy?
What would I buy?
Umesh is waiting you to answer the question. I can see.
I pass it to Umesh lah.
No. You answer. You have to answer.
I always dreamed of having my own dance space and a place where dancers could come and stay and we all learn together. So I think that's a space, like a kind of a residential space where musicians, artists would all freely come in and stay and have a ball of a time.
Okay. Umesh, if what do you think is better, certificates or experience?
Experience lah.
Hello, I have to find out for everybody lah. Hello. Okay. Mavin. I'm all confused already lah. I'm very panicked already now. Okay, when are you most productive, Mavin? Like which part of the day?
I'm most productive between, I would say, 2 periods between kind of like 11 and 2, and then late at night. I'm a night person. I hate the mornings, but I have to get up in the morning for class.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. My brother, scale of 1 to 10. How good of a driver are you?
5.
5. The passengers have to be asked this question actually. Okay. I think just want to ask a question for all of you all together. We'll wrap it up with this last question. If you had only one thing that you could eat for the rest of your life, what would it be, Mavin?
Hey, the TFA, the Temple Finance Curry Puff.
Yeah, wow, okay. For the rest of your life, huh? Wow, okay.
Ayo, I love it lah. Ask Kalpana, she always has to get it for me.
Okay, okay. Okay, Umesh, what is the one thing, you only had one thing to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be? Rapid fire, you know.
Can I summarize like my wife cooking, maybe?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay lah. Very good lah, Shiba, very
My
happy.
wife is here lah. Yeah.
I see. No wonder. Yeah, pressured into answering lah. This is like a forced answer. Okay.
All right.
Okay, what about you, Anna? What do you want to have for the rest
I
of your
don't know.
life?
He said Temple of Finance curry puff, but I like the Malay curry puff. I think I'll give him that one with the down soup inside.
Down soup. Oh, that was from
Ah.
Lotus. Anna. Okay.
Yes, correct. From
Advertising for Lotus Jalan Gasing. Okay, and I think the winner of this rapid fire round is me because I survived it. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you, Prakashane, for that. And now we have come to the end of this evening session. It was a brilliant session. We have got messages coming in to tell us that everyone's really enjoyed themselves. So we would really, really, really love to thank each one of you, Mavin Khoo, Shankar Kandasamy, Umesh Shetty, or more informally, Mavin, Umesh and Shankarane. Thank you all so much for having come together today and shared with us whatever you all have done. And there are questions in the Q&A actually requesting for a second session. So KIV, we shall keep that in view. Can I give each of you 20 seconds to say something before we say goodnight to everyone? Shankarane.
20 seconds. First, I want to just thank Mavin and Umesh for being the beautiful souls they are, the passionate dancers that are lovely human beings. And out there to all those who are watching, I hope that this session has sparked off that fire in you.
Mavin?
I just want to, well, thank you for inviting me. It's always a joy to do anything with your beautiful team as well, all of you at Bindu, but also with Shankar and Umesh, of course, who I have such a beautiful personal story with, that goes on for so long and continues to go on. And so, yeah, it's just a beautiful coming together for me, and I'm very happy to do it at any time. Yeah, thank you.
Great, brilliant news.
I'm just so honored to be part of this group, Shankar, Mavin. It's so honored to be with you all. Such a great artist, yeah. I'm the worker lah. I'm the worker. They will deliver, but it's so honored to be part of this. But yeah, thank you for being allowing me to be part of this.
So to all of you out there tonight from Australia, UK, India, Singapore, Malaysia, US, wherever you are, we thank you all for having joined us regardless of your time zones, and thank you all for your support. And please do stay in touch and follow us, and hopefully we will have more such inspiring sessions to come. These are trying times for everyone. We pray for the health and safety of all of you. all of us. And we wish you a good night and God bless. Thank you so much.